Welcome to Proof Live, where booze brands in the right hands. On a quest for the best tipple and toast with the most exciting and respected bottlings. Competing for the 100-point Perfect Score Century Award and the double gold and a spot on the top shelf to be sipped, shaken, stirred, and celebrated. Slide up to the bar with the biggest names in the spirits game as they clink glasses with your hostess, legendary connoisseur Jennifer English, for intimate conversations, live tastings, product launches, and the happiest hour there is. Now, broadcasting live from the commodious confines of the Swanky Proof Saloon, where the liquid elite meet. Here is your hostess, the Madam of Manhattans, the Duchess of Daiquiris, the Queen of Conviviality, your hostess, James Beard Award winner, Jennifer English.
Well, hello and welcome to the Proof Saloon, where we're getting closer every day to the 2020 Proof Awards, but we're here with the most incredible people who are in this incredibly difficult time finding the silver lining and helping us find it too. Entrepreneurship is alive and well in the spirits industry. And even as we are reacclimating and recalibrating to those things that are the most important to us, spending our time with the people we care about and doing the things that mean the most to us, we're here to celebrate people who are finding their passion and their talent in extraordinary ways during these extraordinary times. Today, we're going to introduce you to an, I'm going to say, inspiring person, because this beautiful product, the Moscow Mule by, yes, there it is. Isn't that delicious? So we're going to talk about how this whole category is robust and it's exciting, and ready to drink is becoming elevated in ways that we never dreamed possible before. What would you do if you tasted something for the first time and you loved it so much that you had to find a way to weave it into the world that you make every day, the work that you do, the art that you make, and the message that you are here to share with the world? Well, our guest today from this incredible company that is producing this ready-to-drink, delicious Moscow Mule, Lisa Malrow, is here with us from her headquarters in Houston, Texas, where her passion was ignited, I'm guessing, with the second sip, but maybe it was the first. We're going to ask her to tell us that story as we welcome her to the Proof Saloon. How are you, Lisa? Congratulations.
Great. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for having me. I'm a huge fan of the Proof Awards. Way back when we entered with the Mule 2.0, like you said, the original cocktail. And thank you very much for sort of summarizing the story on how it came to be. I mean, it actually was just like that. And it might have been the first sip, like you said, that I had from a Moscow Mule.
Well, the Mule happened a few years ago and its resurgence, but I'm sure as the scientist that you are, you went and did your research and discovered that when America was introduced to flavors back in the 1950s, during that post-war era of great cocktails, the Moscow Mule found its way into our favorite magazines from our favorite big brands. That's where we first discovered that a Moscow Mule would be served in a beautiful copper cup, which made everybody in places like Arizona very happy because it was a really good fit. So you know that this isn't the first turn around the merry-go-round for the Moscow Mule. But what caused you to believe that it was time again for this sip? And when in your life did you discover it? How long ago did you discover this?
So it's an interesting story. And yes, the classic Moscow Mule, as we know it, served in the copper mug, has been around for a long time. I know it from reading, doing the research, like you said, the stories that I have heard. 1941, it was the owner of Cock and Bull Ginger Beer worked together with a Smirnoff vodka businessman and came up with their concoction and wanted to sell more of each of their respective products, and said, well, hey, let's put it in the copper mug. And it became a thing. Everybody loved it, and here we are in 2020, and now it's a popular canned cocktail as well. But my particular story is an interesting one, and it was really by accident. You said a lot of people knew about the Moscow Mule. I actually didn't. I was at a happy hour with my friends in 2014. I actually was sitting at the bar. I saw the copper mug, and I said, I want whatever comes in that. So I had my first one, and it was amazing. And from that point on, it was my go-to cocktail. But soon after that, whenever I'd go to different establishments, they'd always make it different. And as you know, if you're a Moscow Mule fan, it became very frustrating that every time you had it, it was different, and it wasn't that perfect combination of ingredients like I had on the first one. So I just took it upon myself. I found my favorite ginger beer. I got the proportions just right with the vodka, and so at least I could make it at home. And of course, since the copper mug was what I made me recognize or get to try the Moscow Mule in the first place, I became obsessed with copper mugs and ordered a bunch of copper mugs online. So I've got that collection. But at some point it became, hey, this could be a ready to drink beverage. And so I started down that path. I bought a Shanken report about alcohol because, prior to that, all I really knew about the alcohol industry was, I like to have some drinks now and then. But it showed that the ready to drink category is going to really take off and start taking from the beer market. And that's basically what happened. Fast forward to 2020, you can see, like you said, the category has exploded. But we've been around since we had first production in October of 2015. And since then, we started with one state. Illinois was the first one to take us in. And thereafter that, now we're in 32 different states. We've had a lot of different success with respect to getting into many, many wonderful independent accounts, but also a lot of great chains have really gotten behind the brand. And one of the reasons is because, I'm proud of the fact that it does have the perfect combination of ingredients. We get comments all of the time via social media and emails saying, you really nailed the flavor. The proportions of everything is perfect. This is better than what my bartender makes. This is better than what I make at home. We have a very, very loyal group of customers that keep coming back and introduce their friends to the product because they love the way it tastes and they think it tastes just like the original Moscow Mule. And so, and a lot of our great retailers that are partners with us have agreed. And now we're looking forward to our next steps in terms of 4 new SKUs, which we're very excited about, which are coming out in December. And of course, we're going to be enrolling in your Proof Awards that are coming up. So that is the Caribe Mule.
And I love that when you mentioned that you're taking this and advancing the category of the mules, you're doing it in a sort of delicious, inspired way with everything that we now come to expect from your Mule 2.0. This is the Caribe Mule. Will you tell us about what this is?
Yes, I will. I'll take you through all 4 of them. But yes, you're right. I do want to say that, for the first 4 years that we were doing this, we went back and forth. Should we experiment with, our version of a margarita or our version of a Paloma or come up with a brand new cocktail? We chose not to do that. And basically because we do have such a loyal brand following with respect to our ginger flavor and our lemon lime flavor, and the fact that we are able to perfectly combine those. So the Caribe Mule is actually a Caribbean influence. It's made with rum and cinnamon liqueur, as well as other natural flavors. The design is perfect. We have been working with a wonderful design company that managed to maintain the perfect quality of the Mule 2.0 original packaging and do these line extensions in a fun way with respect to colors and the print on the cans. So we're excited about that. That is the Mexican Mule. Yay. That is made with jalapeno lime liqueur and tequila, of course, our favorite thing. And then we have what's next there? The London Mule. Yes. And that's going to be great as well. That's one of my personal favorites. It's made with gin and natural ginger and lemon lime flavor.
And
Tastes
last
just like
the one that really piques my curiosity.
yes, the old fashioned mule. So made with bourbon whiskey and orange bitters and also our natural ginger flavor. So all of these SKUs, 3 of them are gluten-free, just like the original, that it would be the Mexican Mule, the London Mule, and the Caribe Mule. The old-fashioned mule obviously isn't because it's made with bourbon. With respect to the alcohol content, so the original Mule 2.0 has 8% alcohol. Basically, according to the research, people are trending towards, lower alcohol percent. So these new SKUs are 5%. And
yeah, and the lower ABV is a big story. It's a big trend story, but it's also a big awareness story. And it just shows how much obviously accurate research you all did, but it also speaks to awareness of where we all are and where we're all going. Given that, would you talk a little bit about your house style? Because the one thing that's going to tie all of these together is that house style of the first, which is the traditional Moscow Mule. Would you talk about the house style and how important the ginger is in that?
oh, the ginger is critical. That was my biggest complaint when way back, I had my first Moscow Mule was it had to be that perfect taste of ginger, ginger forward flavor. I would describe our product as more, it's definitely not like a ginger ale or a weak sort of bland ginger. I think that is what people like in a Moscow Mule, that crisp, the crisp spike of the ginger. And so that's what we've maintained in all of our new SKUs as well, because that's what people keep coming back for with the original Mule 2.0. It's super important.
Ginger is also something that's getting a lot of attention across the board, from the culinary scale to the health scale. So it's something that we're all consuming more of and paying more attention to. It's becoming an essential. And one of the things we can understand about it is that based in a sip like this, we can understand why. This is a really delicious expression
Right.
of the gingeriness, because it does have a certain amount of heat. When you talk about the spike of the ginger,
Yep.
it really has something that comes forward that really carries through all of the flavors that you've developed. I want to go backwards before we run out of time. You didn't start out as a consumer packaged goods ready to drink guru. You have a different place that and I just want to tell people about that, because as 60% of our restaurants might not open back up because of COVID, there are literally millions of people in our industry that need an inspiration about how to take this moment and adapt everything they know into something else in the world that they love, finding something they love and then pursuing it as not just a passion, but with purpose. Would you talk a little bit about how, when you took that sip, you might not have known that it would lead to this, how it led to this?
Well, thank you very much for reminding me of that. That's something I forget, but you're right. I mean, what I'm doing now today couldn't be further from what I started out doing. I'm originally from Minnesota, and this company actually is headquartered in Minnesota. I'm just living in Houston right now because I moved out here. I'm a geologist by profession. I worked on in several capacities in Minnesota before I moved into Houston, but I joined the oil and gas industry, got a job with Shell and another smaller independent company, Halcon Resources. And so that's what brought me to Houston, where I had that happy hour where I was introduced to the Moscow Mule. I was so taken by the cocktail, and it just, you know, when I think back on how this happened, it's hard to believe. I have to pinch myself as well. It's like how it transitioned from I love this cocktail to doing all the research, getting the flavors just right, reaching out to flavor companies, reaching out to can companies, getting all the suppliers in line, getting the licensing and things like that. But it is possible. So that was my dream at that point, to bring this to the world in terms of an authentic Moscow Mule in the convenience of a can, and it became a reality through hard work and dedication and persistence. And so we've been around, like I said, since October 2015, but my life couldn't be more different than what it was before Mule 2.0, which, you know, I am very proud of, and we still are a 100% owned, woman-run business. And
That's awesome.
It's been a lot of learning from a fire hose, so to speak, just because the profession is so different than what I came from. But, you know, if you put the time in and you work with the people and you get good partners with respect to, in the case of the alcohol industry, that your distributors and your retail partners, and really dedicate yourself to them, then you'll make it.
You know what I'm waiting for? Our Mule 2.0 vending machines. I can't wait.
Yes, well, I will get busy on that, Jennifer.
When you had your first sip of a Moscow Mule, you came from something else. So you had that moment of discovery, that epiphany.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about being out with friends. Were you aware that you were ready to have everything in your life change at that moment? And is there something that really sticks in your mind about the conviviality of that particular moment that you're trying to capture with this? Because one of the things that historically the ads for the Moscow Mules always featured was this sense of friendship and sharing and conviviality. And when you were telling the story, the origin story of Mule 2.0, I was sort of struck that, well, of course it happened when you were with friends. So it really speaks to this kind of tradition, as opposed to, you know, an aperitif pre-dinner tradition, or a digestive post-dinner tradition. This really speaks to conviviality. And I was wondering if you would address that as well.
Absolutely. So, and you're right. The Moscow Mule, that's one of the things that we've noticed with respect to many of the canned cocktails have seasonality. You know, they're more popular in the summer. We don't really have that issue, just because a Moscow Mule, because of the way it is, with respect to, you know, group get-togethers and community and the fun of serving a Moscow Mule, you know, we're popular throughout the year. This is our biggest year, one of our biggest years coming up now, with a Halloween, a Thanksgiving, the upcoming holidays. Who doesn't love a copper mug? I mean, certainly you can drink it from a can, but you can pour our product over ice in your copper mug, and just decorate it with some of your other favorite ingredients if you want, or just serve it like it is. But it's a very festive, fun cocktail.
And we're going to run out of time, and I don't want to do that, but I could chat with you endlessly about this. I'm fascinated about how you got into ready to drink before everybody was getting into it. I mean, you were in the marketplace on the shelf before people that are now just getting there, and it's becoming a huge category, but you were a really early influencer and early adopter of that.
Yes, and we were one of the first ones. We were, you know, leaders in that respect. We led the resurgence of the spirits-based, and I want to specify that it's a spirits-based canned cocktail. It's not a malt-based canned cocktail. We don't want people confusing us with the malt-based canned cocktails. This is very important that we're made with real alcohol.
Seltzers, you mean seltzers with claws and things like that, or?
Yeah, with malt-based beer, they're basically equivalent to like a beer, versus using vodka and gin and bourbon and tequila and rum. So, but yes, we led the resurgence, and now that, like you said, the category has exploded. And luckily, because, you know, because of our brand loyal fans. We've maintained our position. We're regulars at the top of Nielson, which is, you know, how basically you're measured in the industry on how popular you are and how much you sell. And luckily, because we have that brand loyalty, we've been maintaining our position up there, even though we have all of the competition from big beverage companies now, not just smaller companies like myself.
I want to tell you that two of the things that we found when we were doing our tasting and testing that we particularly liked, the Mule 2.0 original goes brilliantly well with a big juicy cheddar cheese cheeseburger. And,
Oh.
and we liked it so much. The other thing we found that it went brilliantly well with was the piping hot bowls of chili that we've started serving this time of year now that everything has gotten cool. The spice, the ginger, the heat of the ginger marries and complements the heat of the chilies so brilliantly well, but then the ice cold briskness really manages to cut through and make them they're very synergistic, they're very integrated, and it just makes a really great flavor chord. You wouldn't think ginger and chili pepper would go as well as it does, but it goes perfectly well. The two sources of heat combined with the succulence and the richness of things like the beans and the sauce and the cheese, it's just a great combination.
Well, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to try those. Yeah, I have had it with chili, not a cheeseburger, but I love hearing people's pairing ideas. They also go well with brownies, believe it or not.
I'm actually going to serve this on Halloween with pumpkin pie.
There you go.
I add fresh ginger to my pumpkin pie mixture, so I thought that would go nicely.
Excellent.
Before we let you go, let's remind everybody what your website is and where people can find your product. Are you on premise or only off premise?
It's mostly off premise. We're continually trying to break into the on premise in a more big way, but mostly off premise. But yes, please do, anyone who's interested in, visit our website, which you can see on the screen, mule20.com, but also find us on social media. Our handle is The Real Mule, The Real Mule 2.0.
So in southern Arizona, where I'm at this moment, we have a kind of mule called mule deer, which is actually a deer, but we call it a mule deer because it looks more like a mule than a deer. So I'm very familiar with those wonderful creatures as they roam the cactus-studded hillsides of the foothills here in this region. And that got me to thinking about the imagery that you have. And I wanted to ask you about these animals. They almost look like the musicians from Bremen, but I don't know if that was an inspiration. That's just a book from my childhood that it's evocative of. What is the image of this one mule facing one direction and one mule facing the other direction on the can? I don't know if everybody can see it.
So it was a fun way. By the way, I have an excellent design team that I've been working with. They're the geniuses that came up with the packaging, and they've continued on with the new SKUs. They're the same company that did the Monster Energy drink packaging, the clean design. I cannot thank them enough, but also it's two mules, yes, and it was a play off of Mule 2.0, which the idea behind Mule 2.0 is we are the authentic tasting Moscow Mule, the original, reincarnated in the can. So now we have the convenience of the Moscow Mule, but it's in the can. So Mule 2.0.
I'm going to raise my copper cup. And I'm going to ask you, do you have a Mule 2.0 house toast that you share when you introduce people to what might be their first sip of a Moscow Mule?
We don't, but I'll have to think on that and come up with something. We let people decide for themselves, and luckily they decide that we are their first pick. So I would say cheers. We say cheers.
Well, I'll say cheers also, but I'll tell you, we'll work on that with you. We'd be happy to do so. Everybody, Mule 2.0 can be found in over 30 states at your favorite retailers. and please seek it out. It is a absolutely perfect blend. You know, the thing that I want to comment on is in the category of ready to drink, the things that will be the most successful will be the most delicious and irresistible. This is an irresistible version of a Moscow Mule. And why is it irresistible? Because it tastes exactly the way that it's supposed to taste. And its consistency, prized. The reason we love the bartenders we love is because they execute their art and craft with an extraordinary consistency. Sometimes the disappointment comes when you can't get it to taste exactly the way you want it to taste. Well, that's a solution in a can from our friends at Mule 2.0 for what we'll argue is the very finest Moscow Mule we've ever sipped. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today, and we will look forward to seeing you at the Proof Awards.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Cheers.
Need a push getting your spirits, wine, or beverage brand into the hands of consumers? Interested in winning medals like a double gold award? Proof Awards 2020, the ultimate beverage competition, can help jumpstart your brand into the hands of beverage buyers. Enter the Proof Awards. Be a part of the Proof Awards marketing campaign with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. All of our judges are buyers, and that's what sets our awards program apart from the others. Our judges head the beverage programs for restaurants, bars, nightclubs, casinos, liquor stores, big box retail, and national wine and spirits distributors. Your brand will be tasted by buyers from more than 15 states across the U.S. We have hundreds of categories to choose from at www.proofawards.com. Be seen by 12 million readers with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. Get tasted and rated by buyers. The 2020 Proof Awards competition is open for spirits, wine, and beverage brands today. Proof Awards 2020, moving brands into the marketplace.